And the reason I like to make hummus the way I do is because it tastes so much better. I know we can get cans of garbanzo beans or chickpeas anytime we want, and that's a very convenient way to make hummus. And you could use canned chickpeas to make my kind of hummus, but it's a lot better if you can make it with dried garbanzo beans or chickpeas. And the ones I use for this recipe are from Rancho Gordo, and you could go to their website and order them very easily. Rancho Gordo is the website. You can also get dried chickpeas in the grocery store. They sell them in the bulk section, you know, so if you can't order them from Rancho Gordo, that's another option, but you know, these are the ones I use. And what I do is I cook them, and that's kind of a 2-day process, because first I soak the garbanzo beans for 24 hours. So I soak them in plenty of water in the refrigerator for 24 hours. And after 24 hours, then it's time to cook them. So I drain them, put them in a pot, and cover them with plenty of water, like 3 inches of water, bring them to a boil, and then cook them for anywhere from 1 hour to, it could be up to 2 or more hours, until they're really soft. They need to be so soft that when you squeeze them, that they just kind of squeeze into very soft chickpeas. If they're still hard and you can't squeeze them, they're not cooked enough. The way I cooked these chickpeas for today was in the Instant Pot pressure cooker. And the Instant Pot is a really good way to cook chickpeas to get them really soft. So I put the 24-hour soaked chickpeas in the Instant Pot, and then I put a couple of inches of water over the top, maybe the equivalent of about 4 or 5 cups of water. And this is 8 ounces of chickpeas. I should have said that in the beginning, but I used half of the package and made 8 ounces of chickpeas because I'm trying not to make a gigantic batch. So then I put them in the Instant Pot, put about 4 or 5 cups of water in there, and then set it for 18 minutes. And then after 18 minutes, I just let it naturally release. Didn't bother with it, didn't do anything. And then after it naturally released, I then drained the liquid from the chickpeas, but I saved the liquid. So I saved the chickpea liquid, have the chickpeas draining here, because we're gonna use the chickpea liquid, also known as aquafaba, to thin out the hummus when we make it. So I'm gonna start making the ingredients that go into the hummus, and then I'll be putting them all in the food processor. I will go ahead and put the chickpeas in here while I'm adding the other ingredients. I'm just gonna put them in here. That's about the equivalent of 3.5 to 4 cups is what you get if you make 8 ounces of chickpeas. So that's in there. And then one of the key ingredients, simple key ingredients for hummus are garlic, freshly squeezed lemon juice from real lemons, not the kind in a jar. And then the other key ingredient is tahini. So the tahini I'm using is called Soom Tahini, and it's a company, a very small woman-owned company, the Soom sisters. And for whatever reason, their tahini has a really good flavor. I just love it. So on the garlic, I'm going to use 3 garlic cloves. I'm cutting off the ends, the hard ends of the garlic cloves, because then I can smash the garlic easily with my knife, and then it's really easy to chop. So I'm going to do that with all 3. And then it comes right off. That garlic didn't want to smash. It didn't cooperate very well. Let's see about this one. Much better. All right, these are good sized garlic cloves. If you like garlic, you can always use more garlic cloves, but to me, 3 good sized garlic cloves is plenty, so I'm gonna stick with these 3. And I'm just gonna kind of chop them. They don't have to be tiny because they're gonna get processed in the food processor. So, you know, they just need to be little 1/4 inch pieces, kind of a rough chop. No skins. And then I'm going to throw these in with the garbanzo beans or chickpeas. You can call them either thing. Then we're going to put in our lemon juice. I've got 3 tablespoons of the fresh lemon juice. And then last but not least, our tahini. This is a 1/3 cup of tahini for 8 ounces. So this was 8 ounces of dried chickpeas that made into about almost 4 cups, which is like 2 cans of chickpeas. So if you were using canned chickpeas, that would be like using 2 cans. But in the canned ones, I always drain them and rinse them. And I don't use the chickpea liquid in canned chickpeas because I really don't like the way they taste. So then the next step is we're going to process it in the food processor. And I'm going to get it started, but then I'm going to have to go back in after it starts for a few minutes and push the sides down and keep processing it and add some more liquid. To start with, I know it's going to need some of this chickpea liquid, so I'll probably go ahead and add about 1/4 of a cup to get it started. Well, it would help if I took that out, wouldn't it? So I'm going to add my little 1/4 of a cup after I remove the thing that keeps liquid from going in. And then I'm going to turn it on and get it started. Okay, I have had the hummus processing in the food processor quite a while. I just kept it going until it was really smooth. You could see it's really silky smooth. It's kind of hard to tell, but it is. And I didn't add any salt, so I think I should add just a tiny bit of salt. And I was going to show you that part, that I have kosher salt here. And I'm going to add about a teaspoon of salt to all of this. And this makes quite a bit. This makes about 3 cups of hummus. And that's all it needed. Just, if you don't want to add salt, you don't really have to, but you know, I think salt adds a little bit of extra flavor. And I like a little salt in my food. So now I'm going to put it in my serving bowl, which is an old bowl that my mother actually made by hand back in the 80s that I found. It's kind of a Japanese bowl, but I think it's perfect. The color and everything is perfect for hummus. So I'm going to put it in there. And I'm going to talk a little bit about hummus variations. But let me get this in here first. And what we can do with the hummus is I reserve some chickpeas before we started processing them, and we can always put a few chickpeas on top, just because that way you know it's hummus. It's got the chickpeas. And then we could also put something on it. I didn't put any pepper in this, but let's say we wanted to put some cayenne pepper or paprika on the top. I kind of like cayenne pepper, but that kind of gives it a nice look. Since I make my food whole food, plant-based, no oil, I'm not going to put any kind of oil on top, but in restaurants you'll see it where, you know, there'll be a lot of olive oil all over your hummus. Well, I don't think that's necessary, so I wouldn't do that. So what I do with the hummus, and I'll show you how I'm going to serve it, is I like to serve my hummus with vegetables because, you know, it's plant-based. So I think hummus tastes really good with fresh vegetables. I have some carrot sticks and cucumbers and bell peppers. And then for my husband or people that, you know, don't like to eat a lot of vegetables, I've got some really good multigrain chips, and they taste great too. So that's my basic hummus here, is just, you know, the lemon, garlic, a little salt, the tahini, and the really, really well-made garbanzo beans or chickpeas. But there are lots of other things we could do to make a variation of the hummus. So we could take the same basic recipe and we could add some drained roasted red bell peppers, and then we have a red bell pepper hummus. And one of my recipes to do that is to add maybe 1/4 or 1/2 cup of red bell peppers, and then a couple of teaspoons of sriracha. And this is an organic sriracha that doesn't have any of the artificial ingredients in it, so it's a little bit a better quality than the typical sriracha. So that's one variation. We could make a variation with roasted garlic. So I took a whole bulb of garlic and roasted it at 400 for about an hour, and it's so soft that if I squeeze it, it will come right out of here. I'm not going to squeeze it right now because I'll probably use it later. So I could do that. I could roast some hot peppers, serrano, jalapenos. I could roast those in the oven and add those. I don't like to add them raw. I think that's a little bit too strong. I sometimes add a little, like a dash of tamari to the hummus, and that gives it a little bit of an interesting taste. We can make hummus with curry powder. So we can make like a curry version of hummus and add curry powder, cumin. We could put red chili flakes on top of it if we wanted to, and I use the cayenne pepper. And one way I really like to eat my hummus is with candied jalapenos. That's kind of my fun thing. I chop up these candied jalapeno peppers and put them on the plate with my hummus and vegetables, and I'll probably have that for lunch today. It's so delicious. So, you know, this is the way I like to eat my hummus. I think it's really good just to take some and put it on a vegetable stick and then just enjoy it. So good.